Good morning, everybody. I guess you caught me there. Um, Today, we are going to be continuing our discussion as we enter week 2 of a year of Thinking Magically. And our discussion today is going to be about forgiveness. And we're going to begin a process of really looking at this because I really believe that the key to forgiveness is knowing who we're doing it for and why. And we're going to talk about how that happens, the role that forgiveness plays in living a more magical life when we come back. And we're back. It's Dr. John Michael Salvato, and today is Tuesday, the 5th of November. It's almost Samhain. I am really excited about having this opportunity to begin to dig a little bit more deeply. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to log in and get connected. Good morning, Ed and Christy. Good morning, Kimberly. I welcome all of you guys and all of you that might be watching this on the replay as well. I welcome you as well to our program today. You know, yesterday we started talking about how healing can only really begin when pain loses its value. And pain is always a signal to us. Good morning, Lady Fate. Glad to see you. And Jan, good morning to you as well. I see the folks are just starting to log in now. So yeah, yesterday we said, you know, healing only starts when pain loses its value, and pain, I really believe, is a signal to us. It's a signal that there's an imbalance, and that we can begin addressing those imbalances any of a number of different ways. So, you know, we can start addressing the physical imbalance first when we start to have pain. And when we do that, we can experience comfort. We can experience a reduction in that pain. But if we don't get to the metaphysical, then that pain relief is going to be short-lived. And if we focus only on the metaphysical, the same thing's going to happen. We may heal the thought process that created that experience of pain in our lives or put us in a situation for those things to happen, but until we focus on what's going on a physical basis, what's manifest in our bodies, then that physiology is going to continue in the direction that it's going. So it's really important to us that I think if we're going to live magically, good morning, Aaron. If we're going to live more magically, I think it's important that we begin to understand healing has always got to be holistic, or it will be ineffective or temporary. So today we're going to make a simple but powerful mind shift, and that mind shift is the mind shift of 100% responsibility. And what I mean when I say that is, you know, quite often I'll tell people that the real turning point for me was learning to take 100% responsibility for all of my experiences. And they say, but you know, John Michael, you were raped and beaten. Good morning, Deborah. You were raped and beaten by 4 guys at gunpoint, and how was that your responsibility? Well, when I say that, I'm not saying that it's our responsibility for other people's choices. Those are their responsibilities. But it's our responsibility to 100% how we respond to the things that happen. Sometimes the shit that happens in our lives is not fair. Sometimes it hurts, and hurts deeply. And when I say that we take 100% responsibility, we're just taking responsibility for our experience of life. And that doesn't mean running away from the hurt. It doesn't mean pretending that the hurt isn't there. It doesn't mean that we blame ourselves or allow ourselves to get wrapped up in guilt. But see, forgiveness is a process that we engage for one purpose only, and that's for ourselves. Forgiveness does nothing for the other person. Forgiveness does nothing for the pain or the circumstances. It doesn't fix anything except our mindset. And so the reason I shared that book with you guys, Shunyata, was because I wrote the book for a group of people who were going through some really difficult times in that particular moment, and going through some very painful losses. And I wanted them to understand that they could at the same time take 100% responsibility for their experiences without letting the other party off the hook. See, our actions always come with responsibilities and with consequences. And so this idea of taking 100% responsibility doesn't mean that we let people get away without consequence. It simply means that we're not going to allow what they've done to us to impact and control our future, or the lens through which we experience our future. And let's be really clear. As I said in the beginning, and we talked about yesterday a little bit, the things that we perceive as having happened to us are always going to be interpreted through the lens of our experience. It's how we're wired. And so if the lens of our experience is fraught with pain, with feeling like we never catch a break, with difficulty and things like that, then that lens is going to be really cloudy in the present moment when we're trying to interpret what's going on right now. Does that make sense? If you feel like maybe at some point in your past you've interpreted what was going on right now based on what happened in the past, go ahead and put "the past is not my future" in the comments. See, we've all done that. We've all interpreted what was happening to us right now based on what's happened to us in the past. It's how human beings function. So what I want to explain, a really good example is actually something that happened earlier this morning, and I was counseling somebody. And thank you, Alan, and good morning. I was counseling somebody who said, "I just hate my job. I want my dream job." And there's the comments. I knew that there was a little bit of a lag here on the video. And so this person said, what can I do? I want to manifest a better career for myself. Now, this is a person who went to school for 4 years and then went on to graduate school, and they're working in the field that they are beyond question passionate about. They just don't feel like the position that they're in right now is the position that they want. And I said, what would happen if the career move that you're wanting and wishing and doing all of your craft work to try and manifest in your life is your current career, but with a different level of commitment? What would happen if that job that you hate right now is your dream career, but you just need to shift your mind a little bit or find a new passion? Maybe find that passion that you had when you first came to the experience. Now, there's nothing in that experience to do, on the surface to do with forgiveness. But as we started to talk, and I was mentioning that I was going to be doing this class with you guys today, and that today's topic was going to be forgiveness, and we we're going to start talking about Ho'oponopono. And he said, I read your book, and maybe there's something here that is directly related to what you're going to talk about today. Maybe the reason that I hate my job is because there's something I'm not forgiving. And so we started to dig in. And this is where things get a little bit different, from maybe what you've heard in a church, or you've heard in school, or you've heard at home about forgiveness. You see, my friend said, yes, I think there was something that happened in my job that needs forgiveness. And this is somebody who's been a student of mine for a long time, so they kind of know how this game is played. And he said, so can we go to work on that and let me see what I need to forgive in my past? So for most people, when they got to that point, they would say, aha, let's see what I need to forgive in my past. Who did me wrong at my current place of employment? What is it about my boss? What is it about my coworkers? What is it about that bitch that always steals my lunch that I need to forgive? But you see, my friend understood that if there was something that needed to be forgiven in his past, as with each and every one of us, there's only one person that we have to forgive, and that's us. You see, if I had a traumatic experience in my past, like the sexual abuse that I experienced as a young man, or the rape when I was 20, or the loss of my home and losing everything, all of our financial wealth when our business went south. The only place that my forgiveness needs to go is toward me. Because it's how I responded to, reacted to, engaged with that situation that made all the difference. Now, sometimes we're doing the very best that we can. You know, when a person gets raped, they don't really have very much time or very much space to decide how they're going to respond to that horribly violent, abusive attack. But there are always ways that we could have maybe responded differently, or we at least put ourselves through that thought. And so the only person that needs to be forgiven is us. We did the best that we could in those situations, in those past traumas, in that situation with your coworkers, or with a spouse, or somebody else with whom you were in relationship. Just know you were doing the best thing. So the way that Ho'oponopono works, and why I'm so excited to have shared that book with you guys, is that it works whether you believe it or not. It works whether it makes sense or not. And it works whether you read the book or not. So that's good news for some of you out there, because I know you haven't even picked it up yet. But here's the thing. The reason that this works is, and if you dig into the book, you're actually going to understand the 3 levels of mind. Now, this is really a simplification, an oversimplification of a lot of what great masters like Carl Jung would have taught in a much more eloquent and much more detailed way. But what I wanted to do is provide you with kind of a framework to understand the 3 levels of your mind, and to understand that at the bottom level, just between the middle and the bottom, there is what I call the Velcro level. And that Velcro level has all those little hooks on it that are going to catch on to all of the chaotic data that exists. So if you think about it the way that I talk about it in the book, I talk about a computer hard drive. And if you put garbage in, we know you get garbage out. So if the data is corrupted on your hard drive, you can't expect programs to run properly. So what do you have to do? You don't just reinstall the program over top of it and leave the chaotic data there, because it might corrupt what's going on now. So what we do is we clear the hard drive. We get rid of the chaotic data. And then the most important part is that we replace it with the proper data, with the program as it's meant to run. So that's what Ho'oponopono does. On one sweep, it clears the chaotic data away. It's what we call a clearing device, and you can empower things in your life to do that. In another sense, it is a reprogramming device. So we say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and namaste, or I bow to you. And when we say this, we're not saying this to the person we perceive as having hurt us. We're saying this to ourselves for allowing ourselves to have been hurt. At the end of the day, we're the one that's responsible for our feelings. And so if we've allowed ourselves to be hurt, chances are we've allowed ourselves to get caught up in interpreting what's going on through the lens of some shit that happened in the past, and we can move beyond that. So that's what this is all about. You'll hear in a minute a little bit of noise. Mailman's delivering the mail. Today I had the presence of mind to keep the door closed. And so we use this tool, this process of I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I bow to you, or namaste. We use this as an opportunity for us to really bring ourselves back to the present moment, to say, this is where the power is. And so right here, I love you. John Michael, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and namaste. And so today I want you to continue this process of realizing that whatever it is, whatever the worst thing is that we think happened to us in the past, we interpreted that through the lens of our previous experiences. Whatever we think is happening to us right now, we're interpreting that through the lens of our previous experiences. And no, not only are you doing that and am I doing that, but every person on the planet is doing that. And when you think about that, it makes it really difficult to be anything other than compassionate, because we realize they're doing the best that they can as well. So that's the step today. Please continue reading the book. Start using that. Now, one of the simplest ways you could do that is twice a day to get started. Spend about 10 or 15 minutes just sitting quietly. Enjoy a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, broth, whatever that helps you to calm and just relax and say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and namaste, or I bow to you. And as you do that, if you start to feel some moments of resistance, notice where the moments of resistance are. What is it that you're saying when the resistance comes? Is it when you say, I'm sorry? Is it when you say, please forgive me? Is it when you say thank you? Give yourself that space to kind of get a little bit uncomfortable again. These moments of discomfort are going to give way to moments of to aha moments and moments of triumph. And so that's why we're doing this in these small steps. Because you see, if we're interpreting everything that happens right now through the lens of what happened in the past, we're never going to achieve that goal of really beginning to live magically, because we're staying stuck in the past. The past is there to inform us. The past is there to serve as sort of a reference point, but we can't live there because we recognize that everything we think about the past is flawed, deeply flawed, chaotic data. And we need to wipe away that chaotic data. Because if your computer got a program on it and that program was corrupted, it doesn't destroy the computer forevermore. It destroys the data that was there. It corrupts the data that's there. So what would we normally do? If that computer was expensive enough, you would take it to a repair shop and have them clean it off and reinstall the operating system. And that's what we're doing right now. We're reinstalling that operating system and saying, hey, you know what? There was corrupted data on there, so I need to just move beyond that. Might lose some of the little bits that were on there that were valuable, pictures of that summer in France, or maybe the recording of Dad's last birthday. Whatever those incidental losses might be, they're still in here. But we clear away the data, the chaotic data that's holding us back, and we allow ourselves to come back more fully into this present moment. And in this present moment, that's where the power is. In this present moment, we can say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and namaste. By the way, tomorrow's program, guys, is not going to be at 12:15 Eastern time. It will be at 12 noon, maybe just a couple minutes before that, because I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. So I will be jumping on here earlier. Again, you guys have the ability to watch this on replay whenever it's convenient for you. And tomorrow night, Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, I'm looking for 3 or 4 people who are willing to be our guests for our open mic night on The Brew, which is our weekly talk show where we're going to talk about honoring our ancestors in our own way in observance of Samhain. We are going to be closing out our year as metaphysical practitioners. It won't be the end of the season. for the brew that will continue on until this time next year. And we're going to be talking about a lot of other things, current events and things like that. It's our once a month. We try to just open the mics and let some folks maybe who've never been on the show be on and talk about this show, talk about this class that we're taking, talk about some of what's going on in the world around us and how we can move forward and heal that. And we're going to be leading all of this up to a place where we come together on one of our future shows this month to talk about healing the healers. So shoot me a message if you want to be on the show, especially if you've never been on before. That's at 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's done in a format just like this. So you can watch it on the replay or you can watch it live. And again, as I said, bring your awareness back to this present moment. Let today be the day that for 15 minutes, twice during the course of the next 24 hours, you say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, namaste. And I do. I love you. And if I've hurt any of you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you in advance, and namaste. We'll see you tomorrow.